Welcome back to another segment of Manifest with SII Power. Hope everybody's doing wonderful out there. Before I jump into the content, um, if there's anybody out there that's resonating with the content that I'm putting out there, or just wants to inquire and find out more about working with me in some capacity, you can go to the long form videos and my email address is on there and just reach out to me by email. I have different methods um, and also some websites. My intent today is that today's content will really hit in your body, not just your head. A lot of people are going through the same old, and they don't understand why. So my intent is to break down this content with simplicity and to give some examples that you can probably connect to or relate to personally, or somebody that you know have had similar experiences. And it's always to advance you, to help you accelerate and help you move forward. It's never personal, but if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same thing. All right. So I want to talk about some stages, right? I like to call it upstart, release or let go, right? And then implementation, and then fulfillment. Now, I'm not saying you have to make it a process or do anything. All things are possible now. All things are possible now. But many of you are trying to hit home runs and you're novice to conscious manifestation. You've been manifesting your whole life. But if you don't know uh, the rules to the game and you don't know how to play the game, then pretty much it's a given that you're going to fall short or you're going to lose, right? You wouldn't go out there and try to play basketball without knowing the rules, right? You wouldn't go out there and try to play football without knowing the rules. You wouldn't go out there and try to play baseball without knowing the rules, like hitting a ball and running straight to second base. It don't make sense. So upstart, release, implementation, and fulfillment. A lot of y'all are overwhelming yourselves. You're just continually taking in content, continually taking in content, continually taking in content with no application or without further study and getting understanding and understanding and then application. So upstart, right? This is the phase where I call it when uh, things don't make sense. You're frustrated and you're irritated and you really, really want to figure it out, but you don't even know where to begin, right? And then release. Release is like, you have an apartment and a year has went by or 13 months or whatever has went by, and they're pressuring you early uh, to re-sign for another year. Well, your circumstances and your conditions, the effects, right? The 3D is pressuring you to keep on renewing what you've been experiencing. And you're falling victim and you're not acting like you really are knowledgeable, not knowing who you are and acting like you have a choice in the matter or the power to select. Okay. Implementation is when you are consuming content and you begin to do tests and you begin to do experiments with it, right? To find out what works or what works in your favor and what doesn't work in your favor, or do you need to make adjustments, and so on and so forth. And then the final thing is fulfillment, bringing things into fruition, uh, seeing a harvest, you know, whether it's the full thing, full measure, or a part, to get, you see the momentum or the confidence and so on and so forth. And I'm not telling you to manifest in steps, but what I am telling you is that you have to learn the rules, right, that you're going by, because you make the rules in your reality. But I want to give you a coverall, right? So everything is an assumption. You're always assuming something. You're always thinking something. You're always feeling something. You're always believing something. So out of that, right, comes some identity, which creates an environment. And so all this stuff is going on simultaneously, and you're getting results. Now, the thing is, most are not getting the results that they find ideal or that they would prefer or that they would like. And the reason why is because they don't know what they're doing, or they're not aware of what they're doing consistently, deliberately, and intentionally. It's an autopilot or auto program that's running, instead of you making the decision that, hey, I'm going to align my assumptions up. I'm going to line my thoughts up. I'm going to align my feelings up. I'm going to line my beliefs up. I'm going to line my expectations up. I am this identity. And it's all inclusive, like an Airbnb. Everything is provided. See, when you start moving and operating like that, things are going to start to be different. So now that you know that everything's an assumption, you're always thinking something, you're always imaging something, you're always believing something, you're always perceiving something, you're always expecting something, and you are always inwardly and outwardly acting something out, right? This is your implementation. The first thing that you have to do as the observer, you have to become aware of what you're doing. When you become aware of what you're doing, it will be more plain and more simple right in front of your face what's happening. And even if you're not producing the results that you truly desire or that you prefer or that you want, you can see that you are the power source and that you are aligning and making things happen or appear. When you come to this point right here, now you can begin to make the adjustments, right? See what you're doing with your thoughts. See what you're doing with your picturing or your imaging. Seeing what you're doing with your believing. Seeing what you're doing with your expecting. And see what are you acting out, and from what vibration or frequency are you acting things out. All of this is important because it's going to dictate, it's going to determine, it's going to usher in what you're going to experience and what type of results that you will have. So as long as you're running on autopilot or running automatic programs, you're not going to ever, for the most part, experience the fulfillment that you would prefer or that's idea or that's a heart's desire. Why? Because you don't have the coherence. You don't have the harmony. You don't have the synchronicity, right? And so you're going to get odds and ends results, right? So we know that you cannot fight an effect with an effect, that you must go within, right, to the source, to the core, to the cause, and make adjustments. Not deal with anything that's outside of you, right? Because an effect is an effect, but the cause or the reason, the core reason that something happens is the power source. Everything else is just a reflection, right? You look in the mirror doesn't smile back at you until you smile, right? Same thing with everything that's outside of you, right? Law of correspondence. As within, so without. As within, so without. As within, so without. the law of mentalism. Everything is mental, right? You're not just on the physical plane. You're on the mental plane and the spiritual plane simultaneously. So with all that being said, if you are not aware of what you're doing inwardly and you act surprised about what you receive outwardly, that is ignorance gone to see. All right. So you have to understand that you're creating it all, that you are everything and everything is you. Everyone and everything is you pushed out, right? The only way you're going to change what you are receiving and what you are experiencing is going to be by changing what you are aware of, what you are observing, what you are perceiving, and what you are planting. And I know that's a lot, but this is the only way that you're going to move out of things not making sense to begin to make faith, things being frustrating and things being irritating to things becoming as it is and you being able to cope with it as an adult and not wishing that something has to change or not being heartbroken because something doesn't change in the physical, right? When you begin to focus less on that and begin to focus more on what you're doing inwardly, what you're doing innerly, and what you're doing inside, then you set yourself up for the positive domino effect where things begin to work out in your favor, things begin to go your way. Everything you touch begins to turn to gold. You start to pick up momentum. You start to accelerate and you start to advance and things begin to click. And then there's serendipity and synchronicity. And then there's bridges of incidences and things just begin to happen in your favor, right? You get to see the universe line up and support you. That's what things working out in your favor, right? So don't be a house divided, be on your own side, think in your favor, assuming your favor, believing your favor, speaking your favor, expecting your favor, acting your favor. That's when you will begin to see deliverance, fulfillment, right? Positive bridges of incidences where it seems like things are happening in the flow state and it's relaxing and it just seems like you're just cruising, you're on cruise control and everything is working out for you. That's fulfillment. And you're not making it happen. You're just being an active participant and you're not in resistance. A lot of people don't understand that when you believe that something's going to be hard, you set that law. And for you, it has to be hard, right? Your belief that something's hard is going to be in the process of making it hard. It's going to prove you to be right? Your mind is always scanning and for negative stuff, and it's always aiming to prove you right? So if you don't think that things can come to you seamlessly, effortlessly, and easily, that's the way it's going to be for you because you set that law in place, right? So the only way to fulfillment is to release or let go of resistance. You can have doubt. You can let your feelings rise up and feel them, right? They don't dictate anything unless you say they dictate anything, right? Nothing has any inherent meaning, right? Except the meaning you assign it, the value you assign it, right? This is what we're talking about. All of this is important because to the measure that you learn the games to reality creation, right? The rules of the game of reality creation, the better off you're going to be. And it's not what this coach or that coach says, it's what you say. You're making your rules to your game of reality creation. Everybody